So a few months ago, I made a video covering Fortnite Zombies, which is essentially the Call of Duty Zombies mode just in the game of Fortnite. And I was completely blown away by the actual quality of some of the maps that were on show here. One of my favourite maps I reviewed was simply just called Zombies, and it was by a developer called Pandvil, and they actually reached out to me and told me that they've recently created a brand new map, that being Lighthouse Zombies. So I booted this map up the other day for the first time, and genuinely, I am blown away by how good this is. Much like the review for their previous map, Pandvil does everything right in terms of the core gameplay mechanics that you would expect in Call of Duty Zombies. You've got things like your perks, you've got a pack-a-punch, you've got buildable barricades, which aren't talked about enough by the way. They are a core part of Zombies and they should be in every single map in my opinion. But they've even got like the little small things like just loading and like round changing musics. There's even a pause menu showing things that you've collected throughout the map, say like the buildable things or any Easter egg steps, anything like that. It's just fantastic. It's just pure Zombies at its finest. And much like their previous map, it just really hits you with that COD Zombies nostalgia. Despite being Fortnite, it's a completely different game. However, where Lighthouse Zombies differs from that previous map is that this is without doubt the most advanced zombies we have seen so far in Fortnite, and there has been a multitude of both new and classic zombies elements added within this map. So as you'd expect, we of course have the classic infected, which are found on every single type of zombies map. It's not exactly anything revolutionary. However, as opposed to the sort of toxic zombies max ammo round that we had in their previous map, this time we are treated to the Panzer. Now, this thing doesn't only look fantastic, it actually plays really well on the map itself, which is probably quite a difficult thing to create in Fortnite. It's just very accurate to the OG one that we're used to seeing in COD Zombies, but it is also varied enough in its design to be its own, at least aesthetically. Performance-wise, it is kind of similar, it's just a tanky thing that will fire out electric stuff, but it's still unique enough to be its own thing, and it even drops a wonder weapon part, which again is very cool and a bit of a callback to what we expect with the actual Panzer on maps like Origins and things like that. And speaking of that wonder weapon part, you've probably guessed it, this map has also got a craftable wonder weapon, that being the plasma laser. Now, firstly, just having a wonder weapon in itself is absolutely awesome, but the craftability makes this even easier to access for all players. It's not like a random box luck hit or anything like that. Now, performance-wise, it is pretty decent. However, word of advice, don't let it run out of ammo. If it does, it costs you 20 grand to buy it back, so just make sure that you repair it for like however much it's going to cost to repair before that happens. I have noticed there is a small visual glitch that causes the plasma laser's health bar as such to constantly be on screen even when it's not in use, but who gives a shit? Like, it's such a small little thing on screen, it doesn't really matter to me. My only proper issue with it is the fact that I don't think that it's upgradable, at least not via the Pack-a-Punch. I mean, there could be an upgrade quest, which I haven't discovered, but if it isn't upgradable, I do think that's a bit of a shame. However, that being said, it is super powerful, so it's not like it's a deal breaker and it's a waste of time or anything like that. Lighthouse Zombies does also include a multitude of new perks. Now, some of these have returned from the previous Pandvil Zombies map, but there are also quite a few new additions. Now, some of these are equivalent to the perks that we know and actually love from Call of Duty Zombies, so things like your quick revive, stamina up, double tap, jug, etc. all have an equivalent, but I think where this map actually really shines is by its introduction of the new perks that are unique to both this map and the actual Zombies mode itself, at least in anything I've played. They might exist in custom Zombies, but for actual vanilla-based console Zombies. Now, my favourite of these new perks is without doubt the jump perk, and that is called Hot Pop, which is a great name by the way, as it does allow you to traverse the map completely differently. You can sort of jump up these ladder spots and it just changes the whole flow to the player of how you can navigate the map. It's a completely unique mechanic and I just thought it was really creative. Much like the other perks on this map, it can be upgraded to inflict damage and cause you to leap higher, which again just gives more variety to the actual game mode itself. I am also a massive fan of Cryo Cola, which is kind of like Widow's Wine and Cryo Freeze if they had a baby. Basically, if you get hit by a zombie, they just freeze around you, and the effect itself visually actually looks really cool. I think it's really good when perks have a visible effect. It just really demonstrates the actual benefit that they're giving you. Much like the previous map, once again, buildables and collectibles are well and truly on show within Lighthouse Zombies. Obviously you have the craftable wonder weapon, but you've also got the Voltagen shield making a return, as well as a load of keys dotted about the map to open up various doors and weapon caches, which again just add a lot of content and variety to the map itself. There also seems to be a lot of collectibles in this map. Now, from what I've noticed so far, there are teddy bears, which I'm guessing are collected for like an Easter egg song, like in classic Zombies. There's also a record player, which just gives straight up Origins vibes of you, like, you know, building the records which let you craft the wonder weapons. I'll be honest, I have no clue what that's for. And I've also noticed that there seems to be a lot of perk sort of cans that you can shoot around the map. Again, no idea what this does either, but it's just all added depth to the gameplay, and honestly it offers an opportunity for replay value for me to go and figure these out and understand what they're actually, you know, for. Another thing I really wanted to highlight, and to me, this is actually the best part of Lighthouse Zombies itself, and it's not actually something that's in the map. This is actually the Lighthouse Zombies main menu. Now, this is something that Pandvil had on their previous map, however, this one has significantly more features. The first thing that screamed out to me when I actually loaded up Lighthouse Zombies was the fact I had a level on my screen. I was just immediately taken back to Black Ops 2 days where you have your little rank next to your name before you start, and it was just a very nice touch. But outside of that, you have a full perk upgrade system, which gives all perks on the maps new and unique abilities, which is genuinely nuts that you'll be able to code that in Fortnite. You also have achievements that will provide the player with an actual in-game currency which can be spent to upgrade said perks. There's an actual ranking system which doesn't only just give you like cooler like emblems as it would do in normal Call of Duty, but it actually gives you different pack-a-punch abilities, XP drops, more of the spendable currency to upgrade the perks, and at the max rank you even get Mule Kick, which is insane. Now, all of these factors combined give the most important thing there is to any Zombies experience: replayability. And there is such an abundance of it here, which is why it's so excellent. My main critique of the last Pandvil Zombies map was that once you'd seen everything and played it a few times, that was kind of it. Like, there was no reason to go back and play it outside of just enjoying the map. But this map obviously has all that enjoyment, but it also gives the player so many opportunities for progression and a key reason to play from sort of an objective stance. But not only that, obviously as you unlock these new abilities and perk upgrades, you'll experience the map in a completely different way than you would have done initially. And again, it's just that great cycle of new abilities equating to more replayability. Pandvil have absolutely smashed this element out of the park, and it's not something that I ever thought I would see in Fortnite Zombies. Moving away from the gameplay features, the actual theme and tone of Lighthouse Zombies is once again very dark. Now, visually, of course, it does draw parallels to the likes of Call of the Dead, obviously being a massive lighthouse, but you've also got that docks and exterior areas which kind of feel like a mix of both Mob of the Dead and Blood of the Dead. However, luckily this map is totally better than Blood of the Dead. I like that you have the soul boxes in the form of shark heads as opposed to just fully copying the previous dragons and dogs that we've seen in the likes of Horizon and Mob of the Dead. It is only a little difference, and performance wise it's exactly the same of course, but it just gives the map a bit more continuity and character, and much like the rest of the map, visually it is top tier, and again harkens back to like the grittier World at War Black Ops 1 style maps, which personally I love. My only small critique with this is the fact that I did struggle to identify and locate some of the perk machines and craftable items because the map was just so dark. Now, this definitely could just be a skill issue on my part, but I did genuinely struggle to find things like the keys to unlock the extra goodies, and I feel like if the perk machines were made a bit more vibrant, kinda like the Hot Pop one, it would go a really long way in both aiding the player's vision, but also cutting through what is already a really dark environment. On the topic of complaints, when you do pick up a key in this map, it is referred to as a master key. Now, that led me to believe that I could use it and open up every single box around the map all at once. However, this wasn't the case. They are actually just a one-time use type item. Now, this was purely just me not knowing that, as it was only my first playthrough. And it turns out there actually are a loaded master keys dotted around the map, which will just let you unlock everything. Again, it's a really small thing, and it was only the issue for my first match, but as I'm blind I couldn't find the other keys, and I had something called a master key, it just gave me the impression that I should be able to open everything, and I couldn't. Very minor nitpicks aside though, ultimately, I think that this map is just brilliant. The creativity on show here is just immense, especially being that this is obviously still in Fortnite. I'd thoroughly suggest checking this out, especially if, like myself, you've kind of fallen away from Call of Duty Zombies recently. Also, one of the biggest things for me is that this is accessible on all platforms, and as a console player, I can't really experience custom zombies on PC, so this is sort of the closest experience to that I can have. Obviously, it's more limited than the likes of custom maps on Black Ops 3 Zombies, but for what is essentially a custom game on another larger game which is nothing to do with Call of Duty Zombies, this is a fantastic addition into the Zombies world and is worth mentioning and shouting out. But anyway, what do you guys think? Will you guys be checking out Lighthouse Zombies? Massive shout out again to Pandvil for actually reminding me that they have made a new map and to check it out. And if you are new here and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing, as I think we're like 10 away from 1,000 now, which is crazy. Anyway, thanks so much for watching the video, and I hope to see you in another one sometime soon.